Today's episode of Desertwood Days with Kathy Blaze is sponsored by Dork Publishing, expanding minds through fantasy since 2018. Learn more at the Dork Publishing website, www.dorcpublishing.com.
I wanna visit all the places nobody goes. I wanna teach all the things that nobody knows. I wanna grow wings, leave the coop, learn to fly. Bungee jump from the tallest building in Dubai. I wanna fly around town in my UFO. I wanna eat real food, not the GMOs. I wanna make moves, call the shots like the boss. I wanna love like I never lost.
Welcome back to Desertwood Days. I am so excited about our next guest, and I know you will be as well. I'd like to introduce Mr. Chris and Mrs. Andi Martin, founders of Hempful Farms. Hello there.
Thank you.
Oh, thanks for joining us today. Good to see you too. Chris and Andi Martin.
Yeah.
I kind of said that, Mr. Chris and Mrs. Andi.
We're used to that.
Such a pleasure to have you here today. You guys have an amazing story. I mean, and I'm so excited to hear about it and to let our guests, our audience, get a feel of who you guys are. You're productive citizens in our Arizona community. You're doing great things. You take care of people. I just love your story. So, Hempful Farms. But before we get to that, I always like our audience to get to know a little bit about you guys, okay? Can you give us just a little bio? Chris, first off, where are you guys originally from?
Well, I grew up in Kansas, and I moved out to Arizona to play college baseball. That's where I met Andi.
Okay.
I'm from Arizona. I grew up in Prescott.
Okay. So tell me about the young Chris.
Oh, man, the young Chris. I grew up in foster homes, so coming out here to play ball was a whole new experience for me. I met Andi pretty young. She actually was in high school when I was in college, so we weren't dating or anything like that, but I knew her brothers and her sisters. I met her mom and dad. So that was really my first experience with a real family. They always accepted me back then, and even when Andi and I decided to start dating.
That is awesome. Miss Andi?
Yes. So like I said, grew up in Prescott with my mom, dad. I had siblings. I met Chris at going out. Met him at a party, actually. I probably shouldn't have been at. But that's where we met. And
We've all had one of those experiences.
Yeah.
She told me she was older.
It was fine.
Quit tattling on her.
I know. So yeah, we met back then. I was honestly 15 when I met Chris.
Wow.
Yeah, and he was like my protector. He always made sure I was okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's sweet. So, you're from Kansas, Arizona. Come together, you guys get married, have children, and you started a business. You were caretakers, correct?
Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, I was diagnosed with Crohn's in 2007, so we couldn't wait for cannabis to go legal here in Arizona. In 10, we went medically legal, but there were no dispensaries open. So our really only opportunity to have medicine was to grow our own. We both became caregivers, which meant we could have 5 patients underneath each one of us, and we could grow the appropriate amount of medicine for each patient. Once we harvested that amount, it was like 25 pounds. So we knew, that we were in that gray area at least of the law. So we called the state and said, hey, what are we supposed to do now? We followed the rules, but it didn't cover this part. And they wanted us to destroy everything, which I know way too many sick people. Everything
over the
other than our
allotted
2
amount.
ounces
Yeah.
each, which I was like, you're crazy. I felt like the loophole was written into the law on purpose to try to not just catch people, but to make sure that there was confusion and that we didn't know what we were doing.
It was that gray area.
Absolutely.
Right.
So when we decided that turning it into food was a viable way to get it to the patient. I'm a chef anyway. It worked out perfect. And for 2 years, we did our thing. Things were going well. And then the dispensaries started to open and the heat came. We were raided in 2012.
Was that after the dispensaries came?
They opened in 13. So it was kind of like clearing the way for them to open, is what it felt like. Yeah. So we didn't have the licensing. Lots of money went into the licensing here, into our lottery, and only certain people could afford to play that game. So we tried to get involved, but we weren't set up that way. We didn't have those kinds of pockets. So it felt like from the beginning it was a very corporately structured program.
And my guests may wonder, this is an entertainment show. Why are we talking about caretakers and dispensaries? Because it gets to that story.
It does.
You guys, you went through a journey there with this process, and all you guys wanted to do was take care of people and use cannabis as your, because a lot of people were doing that. So that was your method. It wasn't that you were out to be drug dealers or...
No, I tried all the doctors' prescribed medicine, and I got very, very sick. I'm not going to lie. I was a cannabis user since high school, and probably a lot more recreationally than I'd like to admit to. But once I realized how to eat it and use it topically and to actually dose it and medicate with it, I found a whole new level of healing that I didn't understand.
How much did it take for you to, what was your method of getting all that experience, learning about how you can use it medically, because since you were caring for people?
Well, it's math, really. I've used it anyway, and I know the percents of what medication and THC and CBD levels help me. Once we learned how to formulate that into a medicine and eat it and control it every time, and you didn't have to smell like cannabis or even smoke it, the sky was the limit, because the math doesn't change. You literally take a percent of THC volume and you plug it into an equation and solve for the amount that you're making, and that's it. That never changes. So now that I know that, I can make anything. I can infuse anything for anyone.
So are you still caretakers?
It's a little bit different of a circumstance now. We are still caregivers. We'll always be caregivers. I feel like that was why we were put here on the planet, was to help people feel better and understand this. But now it's a little bit more about the outreach too. This all started
helping other people so that they don't get into the situation that you went into.
Trying to heal yourself.
Because red tape, blue tape, whatever the color tape they want to be can be really confusing for us normal people.
Absolutely.
Yep. So
that's the thing. If you've never walked this and haven't been there, then it probably sounds like another language.
Right.
But that's why we did the doco and I wrote the book. The book is what started this whole thing off. I wrote a memoir to my family.
And the book is...
Yes, One Life.
One Life.
It really wasn't even supposed to be a book. It was a memoir to my kids, because the courts were trying to say that I was a gang member because I rode in a motorcycle club and I grow weed and I sell it and there's all these bad things. But I wanted my kids to know who Dad really was.
Tell me a little bit about One Life.
I wrote that on the floor of a jail with number 2 pencils. I didn't think I was coming home. I thought that I was going to probably not see my kids until they were a lot older. And I wanted them to know the truth. I wanted them to know my truth, my understanding of what happened. And I just wanted them to have the objective tools to make a decision on whether they wanted to stay in my life or not. And it was never a question of that. It was just in my eyes. I felt like I needed to explain why this all happened to them. Because the raid was traumatic. It was, my youngest was 6 years old with a gun in his face. Like it's not anything I wish on anyone, and there's so many people that are still in jail right now that we felt like we got a second chance at life. So that's why we do what we do.
So Andi, you were in, this was not just Chris's life. This is just his story. This is your story also. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about what you were going through during this time.
So it was the first time I had to do anything without Chris and with the kids. So we fought for 3 years. We fought this case. And along the way, those 3 years, that's when we built Hempful Farms. And we tried to just let the kids know what was happening, how, when Dad we knew he was leaving. We knew he had to go. So we just tried to normalize that as much as possible.
So when it came to building Hempful Farms, were you the one that was outside taking care of that and getting things in order? Tell us a little bit about Hempful Farms and how the name came about.
How it came up. So Hempful Farms came after the raid, and we were, looking at all those charges. We needed something to make sure our family was taken care of. Chris actually knew that he had to do something. He didn't have much time. So Hempful Farms, we were just, the name came, I think we were sitting at the house.
We were actually, I had a
We
friend
said
that owns a
helpful.
farm, a Colorado hemp farm. And he called me up and he said, hey, look, I saw you had a post selling a bike and you needed money, so let me help you. So he came and bought the bike, but he brought me a liter of hemp oil, CBD oil. And he said, look, everything you're doing under cannabis or with your brand, you could do with hemp. And at first, we were double crossed by so many people to get into the situation of the raid. We really didn't trust anyone.
Right.
So I took the oil and I R&D'd with it. We took her top 3 products that she made under Zonka, the lotions, the lip balm, a couple of the products that we brought you, and we R&D'd them with hemp oil. I was the chef over at Crust at Tatum and Bell at the time, literally working 65 hours just trying to make sure we could make it to court every month.
Right.
And we had listed these 3 products online just under, a generic marketplace website. And I had over 70 orders coming in on my phone.
Wow.
So I called my wife and I said, you're going to not be happy with me. We've already been raided, we've lost everything. I'm sure you're not happy anyway, but I'm about to quit my job and come home and make these products. And she's like, you're looking at life. Like, how can you even consider the one income we have? I said, because I feel it.
Yeah.
And she looked at me like, look, babe, I trust you. I love you. And I'll help you.
And
That was it.
that's why you're Chris and Andi. We're going to talk more with Chris and Andi right after this commercial break. Welcome back to Desertwood Days, and I am here with Chris and Andi Martin. So we were talking about all this stuff that your family had to go to, not just you two. Your 5 children had to go through this with you. And you know what? Where it led you to today. I mean, you guys created Hempful Farms. Life is still going on, and you're doing things, and you're doing good things in the community. You guys started Hempful Farms. Tell me a little bit about Hempful Farms.
Yeah, Hempful Farms was just our conversion of THC products to CBD products.
Okay.
And then we opened up a cafe as a part of that.
Okay.
So it was the first hemp-infused Arizona restaurant.
Oh.
It was one of those things that just kind of you rolled with what was coming at you. We had an investor come down that really loved our branding and saw the building that we had rented to do some of the production. And he saw the restaurant side and asked, well, what are you going to do with that? And literally, I pitched it before I even
I didn't
planned
even know what he
it.
was saying.
And that was the first time we ever took an investment, and the only time we'd ever taken an investment. And it secured 6 figures for my wife before I was sentenced. So we were allowed to, continue what we were doing even if I wasn't there.
Right. So, how has that taken in the community, the restaurant?
It was great until COVID. COVID came, and that hurt us pretty bad at our location. We still make all the products that we did. We want to, if we're going to do the cafe again, we want to be in a better area. 19th and Bell is awesome. I love our spot. We've been there 10 years, but it's definitely gotten a lot worse. Just you want to have your business doors open during business hours and unlocked.
Sure.
And that area is just kind of hard to do that. We're great for manufacturing, but we've been looking.
Have you guys looked at downtown Phoenix? There's so much growth down there now.
We're still trying to get familiar with where we're at. We've been in business for so long, but we haven't left our business. We've literally been there 6 days a week, so we could ask questions like that. And while we kind of are, because we've been to events or gone to a baseball game, we're still like, you could tell me this is open, and I'd go, where?
Oh.
So,
well, I know you guys brought some media. I want to just give our audience a look at your media here.
yeah, thank you.
Chris Martin, I'm at Hempful Farms. I'm in my kitchen where we filmed the first installment of Convicted Creations this week. We'll be launching it on the chrismartinstory.com. I'm so excited to bring these stories to you from my friends in prison and our recipes. We cannot wait to show you what we've created. I appreciate you coming and following us. Thank you for joining me today. And by the way, haters make me famous.
Okay, that all looks yummy. So what was the the big square pastry? It looked like a pastry.
It's a brownie or a
Oh.
blondie where we break up cookies, smash some other ingredients in there, and then cut them out like brownies.
Oh, okay.
They were good.
The,
Well,
sh- the
look like-
show, the show is really just
Looked like you were eating a bowl of Fruit Loops.
that was actually Chinese food.
Okay.
We make Chinese food in there out of top ramen and Kool-Aid. Very interesting. I wouldn't suggest eating many of these items out here today. It started off as a joke. A friend of mine and I that were in together wouldn't eat the chow hall food. It was pretty bad. So we created some of these recipes.
Is this a recipe book?
That is, that's a book.
Convicted Creation.
My friend that inspired it is no longer with us. He passed away in
Sorry to hear
18.
that.
And that's why this
Is
show,
this him?
that's me.
Oh.
But on the inside of the book, and this book, we dedicated to him, Billy McMaster. Just a good guy. We decided to go through with the book and the show because he inspired it all. And he has a daughter. So anything we make off of the show or the book, all the proceeds go to his
That
daughter
is
now.
awesome. That is
We never thought we'd see it in print or on video, but here we are.
Isn't that a great feeling?
It is. It's cool.
That is a great
It
feeling.
is.
So you also brought some media for your documentary also, right?
Absolutely.
Let's take a look at that.
I went through a total of 42 placements from the time I was 9 till the time I was 18.
Voters in Arizona have officially passed the Arizona Medical Marijuana Act, also known as the AMMA law.
They were absolutely not skulking around the street corner like some backstreet dealer.
The area that they were in is such a huge gray area of the law.
I'm looking at 15 very serious felonies. I'm assuming it's going to go real bad.
Just because haters made us famous or, they hated us and did this awful stuff to our family, we're still here. They're still good after bad.
He's a survivor. Chris has always been a survivor. What I've learned about him, he won't give up.
Oh, look, that was so beautiful.
Thank you.
Oh my goodness.
Appreciate
I
it.
love that story. You know what? And you know what? Chris and Andy went through this, but there are so many other people out there that's gone through it, that's going through it, and it doesn't have to even be about drugs. And I love that you guys are creating all of this to give people a little light and some hope out there.
Absolutely.
I love that. And Haters Make Me Famous. Tell us about this.
So it's available now on Amazon Prime. It's available on Tubi, and we're just blessed that it's even out for people to see. I met a guy named Trey Goodman who came into my cafe before I was sentenced to prison, and he stayed in touch the whole time. Got his hands on my memoir, turned it into a book, and then said, "Hey, can I help you make it into a doco? I think people would learn from it." So I followed his advice, and here we are. Now we just love being able to get out and promote it. Thank you for having us and being able to talk about it. You know, sometimes people take that title and think that it's an arrogant title.
And I want Andy to talk on that because she said something to me about that. Haters Make Me Famous.
Mhm.
And I love what you said on screen also.
So honestly, in the Haters Make Me Famous, to me, it was more about the police, the Justice Department. Really is. They were so angry at what we were doing. They turned us into. I mean, like we said, we were just a family making ends meet. We were helping other people, and to us, we were doing what was legal, what was right. They found the gray area, and to them, that was you're terrible people. And so to me, the Haters Make Me Famous it's really them. It wasn't towards anybody, any one person, but it was to them. Just they turned us into. They put our faces on. They thought the
Right.
mugshot would bring us down. It only brought us up. I don't want anybody to see mugshots, but
Right.
you did this essentially. We were
Right.
just at home, so
Wow.
yeah.
And we really just want to shed light on a bad law.
Right.
You know, and if we have to use our platform and story to do that, then that's what we were willing to do. We get asked a lot, you know, what was it like for you guys? And we were thrown into this. Nobody signed up for this. We didn't say
Right.
we want to lead this charge, and not at all. But we also feel like there's an injustice if we don't. You know, we got a second chance.
You guys also have a podcast?
We do. We have a podcast called Haters Make Me Famous
Okay.
that we self-produce. We do it at home. And then we have a nonprofit, zonkamiles.world, where we just help families in the same position. We put an angel tree up at our store, and it's got inmates' names on it that are all doing time. People can come adopt them. It's really just
So
about
where
that.
can our audience find you?
Okay.
Our store, Hempful Farms, is at 19th Ave and Bell, 1756 West Bell Road. Is
Okay.
the address.
Social media?
We have Hempful Farms. We have Paw Putty Pet Products because we do pet products.
It's our big one.
Yeah, we have Zonka Miles, which is our nonprofit.
.world.
.world, yeah,
Zonkamiles.world.
So if they're looking for you on Instagram, where would they find
Instagram, Hempful Farms,
Okay.
Convicted Creations, Haters Make Me Famous.
you? Okay.
We have all three of those rocking on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook.
Wonderful. It was
Yeah.
such a pleasure to have you both here
Thank
today.
you.
Thank
Appreciate
you. And thank you for joining us here today. And we'll catch you next time on Desertwood Days.
Today's episode of Desertwood Days with Kathy Blaze was sponsored by Dork Publishing. Visit them at dorkpublishing.com.